You do not need magic. You do not need tricks, charm, or some secret skill that other women seem to have. What you truly need is meaning. Because when a woman speaks with honesty at the right time and with a calm kind of strength, she does not just get noticed for a moment. She becomes unforgettable, not only in someone's mind, but also in their feelings, in their senses, and in their body. She becomes a feeling that stays, that lingers in a way that is hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. Let that truth sink into your chest for a second. Let it breathe with you and rest inside you. Somewhere in your life, someone told you a lie. They taught you that, to keep a man's attention, you had to act a certain way, fit into a mold, be a bit sweeter, smile more often, dress a little nicer, and play it cool even when you care deeply. They told you to answer fast, pretend you are relaxed even when you are not, and be fun, but never too real. They gave you rules, plans, tricks, and little performances you were supposed to learn, yet here you are still wondering why all of that does not work. Why can you give and still feel unseen? Why can people look at you but not really notice the real you? Why do you try so hard but still go home feeling invisible? Have you ever noticed how some women talk forever but leave no real impact? They speak, but nothing truly lands. Their words are just noise, not a real connection. Then there is another kind of woman, the one who barely talks at all. But when she chooses to speak, even if it is just a simple sentence, the whole room feels it. The space changes, people pause, and heads turn. That is not magic at all. That is presence. That is a woman who understands the power of her voice, who knows the weight her words carry, and who is not guessing or performing. She speaks from her core, from a steady place inside, and that energy is unforgettable. And today, that is exactly what we are unlocking inside you. Before we go deeper, just take a second for yourself. If you have not already, press like or subscribe. Not for me, but for you. Do it because you are finally ready to stop feeling overlooked. Because if there is any part of you that feels like you have been doing everything right yet still are not truly seen, what we are about to uncover might be the change you have needed for a long time. Now close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing at the edge of a calm lake early in the morning. The water is completely still, like smooth glass. You bend down, pick up a tiny pebble, and drop it gently into the water. Even that tiny pebble sends ripples moving outward across the whole surface. That is what intentional words do. Not loud, not dramatic, not forced, just exact. A soft whisper with the power to echo long after you walk away. But what are most women doing? They are throwing handfuls of rocks into the water, shouting across it, tossing out too many words, trying to impress, trying to be noticed, and trying to create waves by force, hoping something hits the heart. But it rarely does, because the secret is not in how many words you use. The secret is in the energy, the emotion, and the feeling behind those words. Here is something most people never learn. The deep part of the mind, where connection and attraction actually form, does not respond to logic. It listens to emotion. It reacts to tone, rhythm, confidence, and presence. A famous thinker once said that until you make the hidden parts of your mind clear, they will lead your life, and you will call it fate. And that applies not only to personal growth, but to how people connect, bond, and fall for each other. A man does not fall for you because you explain things clearly. He falls when you spark something inside him, something without words, mysterious and emotional, something he cannot clearly describe but cannot stop thinking about, something that hits his heart more than his mind. The issue is not that you are not trying. It is that you have been using plans that do not reach the part of him that matters. You ask him how his day was, and he says it was good. You ask what he does for work, and he gives a short answer. Then silence follows. Nothing flows. Nothing stays. And you start wondering if something is wrong with you, but nothing is wrong with you. Your words simply did not touch anything deep inside him. They stayed on the surface. And let me make this very clear. This is not your fault. You were trained to perform instead of connect, but that ends now. When you learn how to speak with purpose, when your words come from a place of feeling and intent instead of pressure and fear, things begin to change. When you understand not just what to say, but how and when to say it, everything changes. When you show up with calm energy instead of nervousness, you stop blending into the background. People sense you. They feel your presence before they even hear your words. He feels you. And in that moment, you become unforgettable. You do not need 50 clever lines. You do not need practice scripts or complex tricks. Sometimes all you need is a few simple words spoken with full presence, with a tone that is steady, gentle but sure. You need that steady softness that makes a man pause and ask himself who she is. Not because you are trying to impress him, but because you are sure of yourself. That is not some trick. That is poetry. That is clear feminine energy. That is emotional intelligence in a natural rhythm. When you learn to speak with meaning instead of noise, you stop chasing attention. You start drawing it in. You stop stretching yourself thin, trying to prove your worth. You start attracting people simply by being real. Let us keep moving deeper into this truth. The human mind does not hold on to words the way people think it does. It holds on to the emotional mark of a moment. It remembers tone, pace, energy, and how the other person made them feel in that instant. It is rarely the sentence itself that stays with someone. It is the feeling behind it. That feeling becomes a memory. That memory becomes attraction. That attraction becomes connection. Write this somewhere or remember it well. People might forget what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. This is more than a quote. It is a psychological truth, especially with men. He will not remember the exact line you said, but if your words hit him somewhere he was not expecting, somewhere raw and honest, he will keep that moment with him for a very long time. Let me paint another picture for you. Imagine you walk into a dark room filled from wall to wall with balloons. Each balloon has the same sentences written on them. They say things like, "How are you?" or "Just checking in," or "I hope you are good." It all blends together. It feels repetitive. It feels like more of the same energy that fills the world every day. The air becomes heavy with how ordinary it all feels. Now imagine you do not bring another balloon into that room. You bring one small candle. You light it. That single flame pulls every eye toward it. It warms the space. It brings life into the room. It makes every balloon around it fade away without effort. That is what your presence becomes when your energy is real instead of rushed. When your words come from depth instead of worry. When you speak from your real self instead of your fear. And that is exactly the kind of woman you are becoming by understanding this. Many of you hold yourselves back from speaking deeply because you are scared, even if you do not admit it out loud. You are scared you will not be understood. You are scared that if you speak with real emotion, you will seem too intense, too dramatic, or too much. So, you go back to acting on autopilot. You send safe little texts like, "How is your day?" They are harmless. They will not upset anyone. They will not reveal anything, but they also will not make anyone feel anything. They will not leave a spark or a memory. They will not make a man stop and think about you later. They are safe, but they are forgettable. But you were not created to live like background noise. You were not born to just blend in, to be another soft voice in a crowded room. You were meant to stir something in people, to reach places inside them they did not even know were waiting to be touched. But somewhere along the way, the world taught you to shrink yourself, to stay quiet, to be polite, and to avoid making trouble. It taught you to keep your emotional waves small and controlled. But being polite does not leave a mark. Polite keeps everything smooth, but smooth is forgettable. What stays is presence. When your words carry feeling, when the way you speak creates images or hints at a story, and when your energy moves through your tone, a man does not just hear your words, he experiences them. You stop being just another message on his phone. You become a feeling, a memory, and a change in his breathing. Not because of the words alone, but because of the way you said them, because of the energy behind them, and because of who you were in that moment. That is what he returns to. That is what he cannot shake off. So from this moment forward, let this be your new standard. No more empty messages that mean nothing. No more surface-level talks that drain your energy and give you nothing back. No more talking just to avoid silence. Every phrase you send, every voice note you record, and every sentence that leaves your lips, let it come from a real place inside you. Let it come from the version of you who is honest, steady, and alive. Not the version you think will be liked, not the softened version you use to impress. Just the real, steady you. Stay with me, because what is coming next will unlock even more inside you. We are about to go deeper into how you speak in a way that does not just grab attention for a moment, but holds it long after you are out of sight. How a few words can settle into a man's chest, echo in his mind, and replay when he least expects it. Words that do not just land, they stay. Words that touch his memory and his imagination at the same time. This is where the real change starts. Now, let us move to something simple but powerful. 3 little words that change everything without you having to force a thing. The words are you and me. At first, they might sound small, soft, or even ordinary. They are not loud. They are not dramatic. They are not the kind of words people write poems about, but do not be fooled by how gentle they sound. These 3 words are not just spoken. They are painted in the air. They create a picture, a feeling, and a shared moment. You and me. Say them slowly. Notice how they almost pull 2 energies together without trying. It is not a pickup line. It is a reflection. A tiny, soft whisper that says, there is a possibility here. It plants a seed. It does not push. It does not beg. It simply opens a small door in his imagination. And the male mind, the part that reacts before logic kicks in, responds faster to images and emotion than to explanations or long paragraphs. Men do not fall because you convince them. They fall because a moment hits them in a place they cannot explain. Impact is emotional, not logical. Now picture yourself sitting across from a man. The mood is playful, light, and easy. You could say something basic like, I like talking to you, but instead, you lean in just a little, give a soft smile, nothing over the top, and you say you and me could have dangerously good conversations. Feel the difference? You did not compliment him. You did not chase. You did not try to sell yourself. You created a moment. You painted a shared picture he did not even know existed until you spoke it into the air. Or say you are teasing him a bit and you say, if you and me ever teamed up, we would win every argument. It is simple. It is soft. It is imaginative. It is emotionally charged without being heavy. It is a spark disguised as a sentence. And yes, maybe a small voice inside you wonders what if that is too bold, or what if he does not answer. But here is something many women do not realize. You are not saying these things for the reaction. You are saying them to create an impression. And impressions do not disappear. They sink in. They stay in the quiet spaces of his mind. Even if he does not reply right away, trust me, he felt it. Because this is not chasing. This is owning your presence. This is confidence without pressure. This is the kind of moment that makes a man pause, not because he feels pushed, but because he suddenly sees a new possibility in front of him. So next time the vibe is right, do not shut down. Do not go silent out of fear. Do not overthink. Do not hide behind the safe version of yourself. Drop the spark. Drop the moment. Say it gently. Say it casually. Say it like it is nothing, but mean it like it is everything. You and me. It is not a trick. It is an opening, a doorway he was not expecting, and where we are going next is where timing becomes everything. Because even the most beautiful phrase will not start anything if it is used too early or too often. Timing is the invisible rhythm behind emotional impact. If the wood is too wet, the match will not catch. But when the moment is right, one tiny spark can light the whole room. Stay with me. It is about to get sharper, more exact, and even more powerful. This phrase is not about control at all. It is about confidence, the kind that does not need to shout or prove anything. You are not chasing his attention when you use it. You are creating presence, real presence. Let that sit with you for a moment, because this part right here is the shift, the turning point a lot of women never reach. You and me is not some trick. It is not a sneaky way to get him to look at you. It is a mirror of how you see yourself. It does not land because it sounds clever. It lands because of the energy you give it with. When those words leave your mouth with quiet certainty, they speak a whole language under the surface. A language that says, I am not waiting to be chosen. I am the choice. The mind is drawn toward clarity, symbols, and confidence. So when you speak from a place of steady belief, you do not just communicate. You become a symbol in his mind, a rare sign in a world full of people hesitating and doubting themselves. You become the lighthouse that stands still even when the ocean moves around it. Think of it like this. You have probably heard someone nervously ask if you maybe want to hang out sometime. That does not feel confident. That is someone knocking on a door they already have the key to, but still asking permission to enter. Now flip it around. Imagine saying you and me should check out that spot downtown sometime. Do you feel the difference? That sentence has presence, it has direction, it has ease, it does not beg, it suggests, it opens a path. And if he is focused on you, he will naturally follow the flow you just created. Ask yourself honestly, do you want to be the woman who tiptoed around her truth, hoping it would be enough? Or the woman who said one unforgettable line that made him actually feel something? Because here is the thing that people try to avoid admitting. Energy does not lie. You can say the perfect words, but if you say them like you are praying they will work, they fall flat. But when you speak from a place of inner knowing, when your body and tone say, I am enough whether you respond or not, suddenly everything changes. Suddenly he looks at you differently. Suddenly he senses something rare. It is not about being louder or pushier. It is about going deeper. It is not about being aggressive. It is about being aligned. That is feminine power. True feminine power never screams. It does not beg. It does not prove. It stands still in its truth and lets people come closer on their own. So stop waiting for the invitation. Stop being scared of the door. Start being the invitation. Because the moment you stop trying to prove your worth and start speaking like someone who already knows her worth, that is when the entire energy flips. That is when you stop being ignored or forgotten. That is when you start being felt, remembered, and replayed in his mind long after the moment ends. And where we are going next, the thing most women get wrong is timing. Not the words or the intent, but the timing. The thin edge where emotional intelligence really matters. Most women miss the mark not because they say the wrong thing, but because they say the right thing at the wrong time, and they do not know how to speak the truth without adding pressure. Stay here with me. What comes next is precision. Your energy enters the space before your words ever do. That is the part people ignore. You can say the perfect phrase, but if your tone is off, if you sound anxious, or if your body language is tight, the phrase dies before it even reaches him. That is the truth many people do not want to hear, because it means the work is not just in learning lines. It is in who you are while saying them. You could say "you and me" 100 times, but if your eyes are moving around, your voice is shaky, and your energy whispers "please like me," nothing will land. Not because the phrase is wrong, but because the energy behind it is not confident. Now, imagine this line. You and me would make a dangerous team. Watch how the meaning changes depending on the person saying it. One woman says it, with her arms folded tight, shoulders raised, and eyes looking at the floor. She hopes he feels something, but her body says she does not believe her own words. The other says it with relaxed shoulders and a steady look. Her voice is calm, not loud or dramatic, just steady. She has a small, easy smile that says, "I am good either way." No pressure, no neediness, and no fear. Same words, completely different world. One is forgettable, one is unforgettable. Because calm confidence pulls people in. It is magnetic. It feels real. Most people do not know how to be steady. They only know how to perform, and performance always breaks eventually. Presence does not. Your energy tells a man everything. It tells him whether you are speaking from a full heart or reaching from an empty one, whether you are offering a connection or begging for a reason to feel good. And no matter how beautiful you look, energy reveals everything. You do not need to raise your voice to be powerful. You need to be present. Look him in the eyes. Not like you are asking for approval, but like you are meeting him exactly where he is. Keep your body relaxed, not stiff or small. Sit like someone who already knows her value. That stillness you feel when you are not chasing, when you do not need anything from the moment, that is your power. Let that stillness wrap around your words. Let it carry them. Let it fill the silence after them. Because when you say something meaningful and then pause, that is when it drops deeper. That is when it reaches the part of him you never reach by rushing. We should stop calling it confidence and start calling it being real. Because your words and your body need to say the same thing. When they match, everything flows. When they do not, everything falls apart. When your inner world finally lines up with the way you act on the outside, something powerful happens. He does not just listen to your words, he actually feels them in his body. And that is the difference between a line he forgets in 2 seconds and a line that builds a memory inside him. Now let us move toward the next part, the part almost every woman skips without realizing it. When do you say it? Because timing is not a small detail. It is everything. If you say it too early, it feels heavy. It feels like pressure he did not ask for. If you wait too long, the moment slips away, and the window that could have opened something new becomes a closed door. But if you say it at the perfect moment, not too soon and not too late, suddenly you are not just speaking to his mind. You are pulling his attention in a way he cannot explain. Stay with me, because this is the part where being exact becomes power. Timing is sacred. Do not rush yourself. Do not throw your best energy into a space that is not ready for it. A woman with wisdom does not speak just to get a reaction or to hear nice words back. She speaks when the moment is open. She waits for the window. That small but meaningful shift where the connection is alive. In real human connection, that tiny moment is everything. You could have the softest tone and the warmest presence. But if you say something like "you and me" before the vibe is settled, it will not feel exciting. It will feel like a sales pitch, and nothing kills attraction faster than a moment that feels forced. When it lands too soon, he automatically pulls away. When you repeat it too much, it loses its weight. The meaning fades because the energy behind it becomes thin. He stops feeling the depth of what you meant. This is not just about the phrase itself. It is about the right moment, the right softness, and the right mood. The perfect time is when everything is light, when the energy is easy, when the talk is flowing without effort, and when he is laughing in a relaxed way. That is the moment you place it. You drop it gently into the space like it already belonged there. Not loud or dramatic, just smooth and natural. Imagine this. He is talking about a food place he loves. You smile in a soft, confident way, and you say "you and me should try that spot one day." And that is it. You do not make it heavy. You do not stare at him waiting for him to say yes. You do not turn it into a moment where he has to decide something right there. You just paint a tiny picture and let it float. No pressure, no weight, just a simple moment. The power is in the ease. You did not make it a question. You did not cling to it. You offered the idea and then let the silence carry it away like a small seed falling into soil. You trusted that if it lands in him, it will grow on its own. And that is the heart of attraction. Not a shout or a plea, a whisper that stays long after the moment has passed. Most women hold on too tightly. They hold the moment like they are scared it will disappear unless he reacts right now. They want to be sure immediately. They try to control the response by watching his face. But the woman who knows her own value does not do that. She drops the line gently and lets the silence do its work. She knows stillness has energy. She knows that the quiet after her words is where he starts to feel something. She knows he might think about it later when he is alone driving home. And suddenly, the thought hits him. You and me. That would be something. And he smiles. Not because she forced it, but because the idea reached him on its own. It made its way into him without pressure, and he will not even know why it stayed in his mind. That is not a trick. That is meaning. That is emotional truth. That is a feeling that does not fade quickly. It is a soft ripple that reaches his inner world. And here is the beautiful part. If he really felt it, you will not need to bring it up again. You will not need to repeat it or push it. It will already be echoing inside him. A woman who moves like this does not just stay in his memory. She becomes a symbol. She becomes something he thinks about when he does not expect to. She becomes a story that lives under the surface of his mind even when he is busy. She is not asking to be remembered. She becomes unforgettable because of her presence, her calmness, her timing, and most importantly, her ability to let go after she says something real. Do not chase his reaction. Do not sit there waiting to be graded. Do not stare at his face to see if he liked it. Speak like someone who knows her voice has power even when she lets it rest, even when she leaves the moment open. Because now we step into the part almost everyone forgets. The silence. That space right after you speak. Sometimes the quiet moment is louder than the words you said. Let the silence work for you. If you drop a phrase and instantly search his face for what he is thinking, the magic goes away. If you say "you and me" and then freeze, waiting for him to smile, the energy changes. It starts saying, "I need your reaction to feel okay." But that is not why you said it. You said it because it felt right. The silence afterward is not empty. It is full. It is where the meaning of your words can settle inside him. It is the space where your voice turns into emotion. And that is the difference between someone who performs and someone who lands. A woman with real confidence is not scared of silence. She invites it. She trusts it. She understands that a phrase said with the right tone, at the right moment, with the right energy, can stay with a man for days. It becomes a soft echo that keeps returning to him. And now where we are moving next. This is the space where your words stop being simple lines and start becoming emotional anchors that stay in his memory long after the moment is over.